Hello, all, and welcome to this Thursday evening's whiskey review. Whiskey in question being bourbon this time. So, my father got me this one as a birthday present. I haven't reviewed this in almost 10 years, haven't even drank it in almost 10 years. So, it's going to be interesting for a revisit, especially since I don't drink hard liquor much anymore. This is 90 proof, otherwise known as 45% ABV. And this is probably the most well distributed, well known wheated bourbon whiskey. In other words, it has a larger share of wheat as opposed to corn in this. Actually, wheat, or is it barley? I can't remember. I didn't really review my notes, but it has more wheat than your average bourbon whiskey does. Whether or not it's replacing the corn or barley share, I don't know. But anyways, let's go and read this label now, shall we? My grandfather, Bill Samuel Sr., had a vision of a rich, creamy, full-bodied yet balanced bourbon, so he created one. Meanwhile, my grandmother, Margie, had the brilliant idea to hand dip every bottle in red wax. To this day, our handmade bourbon whiskey is still a family affair. Still a family affair. Enjoy. Um, Looks like Ralph Samuels, maybe? Grandson of the founders. So, yeah, let's just go and get this, take off this wax cap. Now, this is also the favorite bourbon whiskey of Ethan Ralph. And if you don't know who Ethan Ralph is, don't bother Googling him. He's not worth knowing. Oh, interesting. It's a twist top. I was expecting a corked cap. Okay. Oop, a little bit of an overpour there, but that's fine. So, a nice orange yellow, fairly thick legging. Hmm. So, got some vanilla, almost a toasted vanilla, like a creme brulee. Hints of stewed cherries. All in all, a lighter note than I associate with more than with most bourbons. Slight lemoniness. It's very pleasant, but not overly complex. Yeah. And if you may know, I already have my water here. Yeah. Okay, onto the palate now. Yeah. So kind of tannic in the finish. Sort of orangey citrus peel overtones in the mids. Touches of baking spices up front, very light cinnamon. Charred wood is kind of showing up in the top note there. Yeah, that tannic astringent finish, not too unpleasant for me, but it's not really overly bad. Might just me be, might just me being kind of out of practice at this point. Yeah. I wish I had a little bit more of that stronger vanilla cream that's there in the nose on the palate. It's more citrusy and spicy on the palate. You know, I wish there was a bit more vanilla element there. I mean, it's there. It's just not very intense. Yeah. Overall, kind of lighter in body on the mouth and in flavor overtones as opposed to a more traditional mash bill. Well, I shouldn't say more traditional since this is a fairly old recipe, you know, but a more common mash bill. Yeah, definitely the rye shows up a lot here, you know. It still has that kind of bourbon taste in the finish. And not too much of that caramel corn kind of flavor that you'll get out of a lot of bourbons. I mean, this is still sweet, but it is not as sweet as other bourbons I've had. Um, Say most notably like Buffalo Trace. It's the one I probably drink the most of. But even so, I haven't drank it in like over 6 months. Okay, I'm getting a little bit more used to that astringent aftertaste. It's almost perceptibly gone now. So, what can you say about Maker's Mark? Um, it's a fairly easy drinking bourbon. Doesn't go down as easy as, say, a Tennessee whiskey does, which is made to go down super easy. Doesn't go down as easy as an Irish whiskey does. Again, also made to go down a bit more easy. In the case of Tennessee whiskeys being chill filtered, the case of Irish whiskeys being triple distilled. But very easygoing for a bourbon. At the same time, not having a lot of the rougher edges that other bourbons would have, but those rougher edges giving those bourbons a bit more character. Um, would I drink this again? Yes. Would I purchase this for myself? Honestly, I don't really purchase whiskeys anymore, so I shouldn't really honestly answer that. I mean, if I had the money, yeah, I probably would, but then I'd probably just end up sticking with scotches if I'm going to be absolutely honest, scotches and Japanese whiskeys. But yeah, I would drink this again without hesitation. I would be interested to see what it would be like in various cocktails. Uh, but time is limited, and there's other things. So that's why I've kind of focused in on lighter beverages. Uh, they just work better for me. But as it is, this is enjoyable. It is not so, how should I say it, complex. But again, not too many bad notes. I would sort of say that astringency has more to do with me being a little bit out of practice with drinking hard liquor. That said, pretty tannic in the finish anyways. But yeah, Maker's Mark whiskey. I mean, if you haven't drank it yet, then you probably don't drink whiskey if you haven't drank Maker's Mark. Well, in America, anyways. I'm not sure how difficult it is to find outside of America, but in America, yeah. This is pretty much like the top shelf that, in the top shelf up there with like Johnny Walker and other things. If you go to like any sort of gas station slash convenience store that doesn't really carry quality alcohols, this would be the quality alcohol that gets carried. And that, folks, is your bourbon whiskey review for this evening. Cheers.